Here.
Stephen Bide right there talking to some of the people getting their 2 cents on the high cost of education in the country. Right about now, we're going to be talking about the Parliament Week, which kicked off yesterday as the annual event seeks to engage people from across the country and all walks of life with Parliament. The platform kicked off with a fundraising charity walk that actually raised 54 million Uganda shillings. That is yesterday only on Monday. And these funds have already been earmarked to aid the establishment of a rehabilitation community center for persons living with albinism in that regard. So I'm now joined by Peter Odeke, a public affairs officer at Uganda's Parliament, who joins me right now in studio. Very good morning and thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Romeo. Thank you for hosting me here.
So tell us about Parliament Week. This is the 4th year you're running with the theme where you're actually pushing for the establishment of a community center for people living with albinism. Tell us those 4 years. How has it been?
Parliament Week is a concept that started in 2016. And this is just one of the ways in which we can ensure that the public gets to interact with Parliament, get to know exactly how the legislature operates. Members of the public are also able to come in and actually participate as members of Parliament. So we have one day that is dedicated to allowing them to vote their own speaker, bring their issues to the floor of Parliament, debate and have resolutions that will be debated by the main Parliament of Uganda. Yes.
And let's take a look at the issue of people living with albinism, the main issue that you're keeping your focal point on. Why?
Well, first of all, I'll correct you. It's actually people with albinism, not living with albinism. People with albinism are one of the most marginalized groups, not only in Uganda, but in many parts of Africa, because people don't quite understand the challenges that they face. They have very unique challenges to do with the melanin, the effects of the sun on their skin, their eyesight. And these are things we would like to come up with. Now, in Uganda, we don't have enough statistics and information on how they can be assisted better. It's only recently, like 4 years ago, that Parliament decided to come out and say this is one group that we shall focus on and help them. Once we can build for them a rehabilitation center, then they should be able to get their needs targeted specifically to their challenges.
And a survey conducted in almost 10 districts of Uganda came up with a report that said that 72% of persons with albinism didn't know what caused, actually grappling with eyesight. And 2% of those people did not know the cause of albinism. As Parliament, what are you doing to sensitize these people?
It's really about information. And we're providing a platform for them to actually come out and express what this is about. For instance, yesterday we had one of their representatives speaking to the public and informing them that their challenges are really misunderstood, not only by themselves, but their parents and the entire community. You'll find, for instance, that some of the teachers in schools will wonder why a student is seated in class and is failing to concentrate, failing to see what is in front of them. They have challenges with their eyesight, and this is something that is genetic. It's beyond comprehension for now. But once you have a rehabilitation center, then you shall be able to specifically target their needs, for instance, their eye needs or the melanin control of their skin, to ensure that some of the cancers that they normally get, which is like skin cancer, can be controlled. And there are very simple ways. For instance, just sunscreen. Sunscreen is something which until recently had high taxes imposed on them. But once Parliament got involved, we were able to actually have these taxes waived by government.
True.
Yes.
So besides eyesight and skin problems, what are some of the other challenges people with albinism grapple with?
Well, there is also the stigma that people are just afraid, or they don't understand what albinism is all about. But they are just ordinary human beings, just like anybody else. Same feelings. It's only that they lack the melanin. I know in some countries, persons with albinism are actually used by medicine men. They have got these myths that the blood or something like that can actually heal all kinds of things. Now, this is really dangerous.
It's really dangerous. In Zimbabwe, they think it can cure AIDS.
Can you imagine?
Blood of
Yes.
someone with albinism.
So it's really important that the public gets to understand what albinism is all about and how they can ensure that persons with albinism are incorporated in society, just like anybody else.
What about public or social misconceptions, like the fact that some people believe that if you sacrifice someone with albinism, you'll get wealthy?
Well, it's really sad
Really, really sad.
It's really sad.
In northern Uganda, it's happening. I had
Well,
a few stories.
it's happening in many parts of Africa. An example is in Tanzania.
It's rife.
It is rife indeed. But coming out just...
So how best can we actually get rid of these misconceptions? Besides the Parliament Week, it's only 5 days.
Well, it's 5 days, but these are 5 impactful days because Parliament is a platform that actually reaches out to many more people than they would as a small community on their own. So using a platform like Parliament has not just national but international reach. So hopefully through our platform, we should be able to ensure that information gets out in the right way.
So besides the Parliament Week, what other mechanisms can we actually adopt that we can use to get this information across beyond the Parliament Week? Because these problems are persistent throughout the year, and Parliament Week is only 5 or 6 days.
True, it's 5 or 6 days, but this is a message that has to be continually hammered out, sent out to members of
So
the
how
public.
best are you prepared to do that?
Well, we have, one of the ways, for instance, is Parliament decided that they're going to employ one person with albinism to work at Parliament. This will break the myth within Parliament. So everybody will get to realize that they're just as capable, just as normal as any other human being when it comes to issues of how they interact and how they perform. Now, this is something that would like other organizations to get involved with. Parliament can be used as a base, just a standard that people can adhere to. But it's a call that they have been pushing on and sending out to the public and hoping that the public will actually listen and hope that we shall eventually overcome.
And indeed, we shall overcome as long as we have such initiatives like Parliament Week that is actually running, started yesterday up to Saturday. And within the week, the public will be interacting with members of Parliament right there and also coming up with some topical issues, like there'll be a debate within Parliament only manned by the citizens themselves, who will also choose their own speaker. Am I right?
You are right. And
So
that's just,
people will
one of the
get a chance to
activities.
deliberate on the issues that affect them.
Well, it's more than just the debate that we'll have, because that is one activity, and that is on Friday, the last day of Parliament Week. But we have key activities all through the week. Yesterday we had the charity walk. Today, right now, we're having an interfaith prayer. It's a Thanksgiving service between the Protestants, the Anglicans, the Catholics, and the Muslims. Their chaplaincies that we have in Parliament. Now we shall have an exhibition also starting today. All the departments of Parliament will display exactly what they do and how they fit into the mandate of Parliament. Now we hope that the thousands of people who will visit Parliament will actually get to understand why you'd have all these departments in Parliament and what they actually do. That now tomorrow we shall have a high-level civil society debate, also on the theme building a strong Parliament, a strong democracy in Uganda. Now, the civil society is one arm of government, I would say, that normally speaks outside the institutions of government. But having a platform inside Parliament will allow them to interface directly with members of Parliament and voice their views, find ways in which they can try and ensure that democracy is actually made stronger in Uganda through, of course, that interaction, that debate. Now, on Thursday, we're going international. Interparliamentary Union, or IPU, is celebrating 130 years. Now, on Thursday, the president of IPU will be visiting Parliament. And amongst the activities that she has, besides interacting with members of Parliament and the Speaker, is also coming to see what happens when the public comes and actually participates in parliamentary processes, like on Friday. So she'll be with us at Parliament on Thursday and on Friday.
That's amazing.
Now, Friday is, of course, the public Parliament. That is when members of the public will come in just like any other member of Parliament, participate, vote their own speaker, and they'll deliberate on issues based on the theme of a strong democracy in Uganda. Yes.
That is a wonderful one, including the people right there in the machinations of Parliament. Now, in 2017, we saw something different during the age limit debacle. The public was not involved in that debate, and many people were of the view that the public should have been involved because it was a pertinent issue. But then that's a story for another day.
No, but let me first correct you. The public was involved.
Was involved.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
because the members of parliament actually went out into the different constituencies and they were facilitated by parliament to ensure that they could actually debate with their own people, consult with them,
And some of them were
bring their views.
being stoned by members of the public who were saying that no, Toji Kwatako, age limit should stay.
Well,
But it was a contentious issue. But then it brings me back to Parliament Week. These 5 days, you're trying to engage the public so that they also have a say on the issues being fronted in Parliament. Do you think these 5 days should be extended? Do you think we should adopt a new mechanism whereby people are free to access Parliament's premises on a daily basis beyond the Parliament Week, these 5 days? Because these pertinent issues are consistent throughout the year. If something pertinent comes up around June, and people would like, and it's of national importance, and people would like to debate the issue, what do they have to do in that regard? Do you think we need to extend Parliament Week and make it a yearly initiative where people are free to access Parliament at any time?
Well, I agree with you, Romeo. 5 days is not enough. But 5 days is just one of the ways in which we can actually open out to the public and let them know that Parliament is accessible to everyone, all and sundry. But Parliament actually is an open institution. For instance, as long as somebody has a form of identification and they would like to come and either see how Parliament operates or visit a member of Parliament, it's open to them. That said, Parliament Week is a concept that we would like to replicate and move to different regions, because it's not only Kampala where we have got constituents of the public coming. We would like to have people in different parts of the country actually come to see what their parliament does.
Like replicate a Parliament Week in
the different
all the
regions,
districts
all
of
the
Uganda.
Exactly.
So at the moment, what is stopping you as Parliament from expediting such an initiative?
Yes. Now, the finances involved in hosting Parliament Week are humongous, I'd say. I won't go into the detail of that. But it is something that we are planning, and we should phase it in slowly. So plans are being discussed right now to see how Parliament can actually move out. But this will not be the first time that Parliament is going out. We have actually held Parliament in places like in Karamoja, in Masaka, in the islands of Kalangala. But would like to now move not just the members of Parliament, but also the different departments, so the public can actually see how each of these departments fits into the legislative process.
And of course, this year's Parliament Week is running under the theme Building a Strong Democracy in Uganda. So besides using such a platform, the Parliament Week 5 days running, where you try to engage the people, what other avenues are you looking at as Parliament to increase or promote democracy in Uganda?
Parliament, like I said, is really open. But one of the ways that many people might not know is that if an organized group would like to interface directly with either a member of Parliament or the Speaker of Parliament, they can come and petition them. And this is just one of the avenues in which the Speaker can get direct information from the public. So they can come and book an appointment with the Speaker, sit down in the boardroom with her, and actually express exactly what it is that they would like to say. Now, the Speaker has always been quite proactive in ensuring that as soon as an issue is brought to her, she will pass it on to the relevant committee or ensure that it is raised on the floor of Parliament. So there are various avenues, but also just writing to the institution of Parliament through the office of the clerk. We'll make sure that everything that is sent through is taken to the relevant committee or to the relevant persons to ensure that those issues are discussed.
Indeed.
Yes.
So as we wrap up, any final words for the public as we wrap up this conversation?
Well, I would like
I
would like to invite members of the public to actually come and spend time at Parliament. Get to realize that this is your Parliament, and everybody is welcome to Parliament. I know people are afraid, knowing that Parliament is heavily fortified. You'll see the security and the like. But this is for the security of the people inside and anybody else who's coming as a visitor. So we'd like the public to come and interface with us, get to see what the different departments of Parliament have, get to meet your member of Parliament. We also have organized tours taking place all around. So if the public can actually come and see what happens at Parliament, maybe you'll get a better understanding. This is just one of the ways in which we can eventually get better legislators in this country, when more and more people are involved in knowing exactly what Parliament does, knowing what its mandate is, and realizing that within themselves, they also have the potential to represent their own persons.
Amazing words by Peter Odeke, a senior public affairs officer at Uganda's parliament. The conversation has been centered on the Parliament Week, which started yesterday all the way up to Saturday. Now, yesterday they managed to fundraise 54 million Ugandan shillings. Now, that's only part of the story. They need 5 billion for that rehabilitation center, by the way. That's what Mr. Odeke is telling me, and they will only manage to raise 54 of that. And by the next couple of days, Mr. Odeke, do you think you'll be able to raise those 5 billion shillings that you need for that rehabilitation center by Saturday?
Well, Romeo, it's building blocks. One of the things I was happy to learn about yesterday is that the president himself has expressed interest in knowing exactly what it is that this campaign is about. So the president has asked the speaker to break it down for him so that he can see how he can get involved. Now, if the executive gets involved, who knows how we will probably have this center up sooner than we had expected.
That will be a very wonderful initiative. Thank you very much, Peter Odeke, for having made the time to speak to us.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, if you want to understand more about how the machinations of Parliament work, yes, you can make your way to Parliament right about now. It's the Parliament Week, started yesterday all the way to Saturday. There will also be some deliberations, some debates in there. The citizens will be able to pick their own speaker and deliberate on the issues affecting the whole country as a whole. Now, Mr. Odeke also tells me there's another initiative in the offing whereby the legislators plan to roll out and replicate the Parliament Week in all the other districts of Uganda so that people can actually voice their concerns and they can be readily addressed by the legislators. My name is Romeo Busiku. We are wrapping up the show, but before that, we are going to be sampling some of your birthday messages right here on the show. Good morning.
You're watching